well, and I'm sure we can't have escaped your notice that there is a huge anti-terrorism investigation taking place after a serious attack at Whitemoor Jail in Cambridge, one of the UK's highest prison security prisons. It's left 5 prison officers in hospital. According to the Times, one of the attackers is a terrorist prisoner who was jailed in 2015 for plotting to behead a British Army cadet. Are prisons breeding grounds for radicalisation? And how well monitored are potentially violent prisoners? Let's speak with Cody Lachey, former prisoner and penal reform campaigner. Cody, good afternoon to you. These sort of attacks of this nature are fairly rare, I suppose it's fair to say. But one might wonder how a prisoner was able to even just somehow model up a suicide vest.
Well, it was 2 offenders that were involved in that incident, weren't they? And I think 4 officers and 1 prison nurse, I think, received injuries, facial injuries and such. Like I say, prison succeeds only in demoralising, desensitising, dehumanising and making you even more disenfranchised than when you enter the system. Prisoners are ingenious and at fashioning weapons from everyday items, from toothbrushes, etc., etc. And then they're amazing at doing what they do, to be honest. But like I say, the longer you're in prison, the strength of your resolve, i.e., if you've got certain extremism views, for example, they're only going to get strengthened in prison. There are de-radicalisation programs within prison, but if you look at the London terror attack on just at the back end of last year, he'd recently been released from prison, was on the terrorist watch list, slipped through the net, and then he carried out the attack that he carried out on the bridge before being shot dead.
Is that a straight case then of somebody is in prison, when they're there, they get angry, they don't understand why they're there, it's not doing anything, it merely makes them more rebellious to the very system that just locked them up?
Exactly that, Ian, exactly that. I mean, like I said to you, most people in society want to brutalise prisoners, but what they don't factor in is that 99% of us, unless serving a whole life tariff, are going to be reintroduced into society at some point. It's how we treat prisoners whilst they are in the system, which will ultimately dictate and determine how they act upon release. And the fact is, prison doesn't work. Prison has never worked. Prison creates far more problems for society than it solves ultimately. But like I said to you, we have this thing in the UK where it's a very short and knee-jerk reaction of lock us up and throw away the key. But then, like I said to you, they want to brutalise us. Prison can't be both punitive and rehabilitative. Rehabilitation, in my opinion, in my experience, it's a made-up word. It's a politician's word. It's not. Look at the reoffending rates. Look at the fact is, people are going through the system and they're being brutalised, and then they're chewed up and they're spat out back into society. Fewer police on the streets. Like I said, how can a man? The guy that the London terror attack, like I said, he'd served 8 years in prison, right? It wasn't a secret about what his mindset was about, but the fact is, it just strengthened his resolve. The longer you're in, the more you are conditioned.
But he did have, we understand he did have some kind of, he went through certain systems which satisfied itself that he was a reformed character.
Yeah, but the parole board, no disrespect, but the parole board also saw London cab rapist John Warboys and was going to release him before there was an absolute uproar by society. The media jumped hold of that, and then that was then reversed, and then he's since been convicted of further offences. So take that with a pinch of salt. The parole board, like I said to you, there's a guy now he's getting released, even though he refused to reveal the location of his victim's body, right? And after decades within the system, he's going to be released back into society. So take that with a pinch of salt. The fact is that the London terrorist served 8 years in prison, should have been on a watch list, came out of prison, went to a rehabilitation programme in Fishmongers Hall on London Bridge, right? And then was subdued by former prisoners, but was also himself a former prisoner that was destined to carry out this attack. The fact is, prison doesn't work. The longer they're in there, the security services failed the victims, the 2 victims in that incident. The facts are, The system's it's a criminal's paradise, and like I said to you, being conditioned, the longer you're in there, the worse the problem becomes ultimately. Then you're kicked out the door with £46 back into a society. You're brutalised, and then it's demanded and expected of you that you're going to act as a law-abiding citizen. Doesn't work that way.
We owe it to the next potential victim to try and rehabilitate people who are on the inside, I guess. Cody, great to have you with us. Thank you for your time. So Cody Lachey, former prisoner and penal reform camp.